So some general care tips, some of them are similar to resin ball jointed dolls. Again, don't touch the face up if you can't replace it yourself because, again, the oils from your fingers interact with the sealant and it will get wiped away over time, and then your face up can get wiped away, which is bad, but don't worry about it too much. You'd have to be touching it pretty excessively for it to disappear. But avoid it if you can. And again, no oil-based products ever, no human makeup, a lot of that is oil-based. No Sharpies, no permanent markers, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. No human nail polish, I'm not really sure why, but don't do it. I'm told that that is a bad thing. So again, don't get them wet because mold will build up inside between the internal skeleton and the vinyl piece. You can see there's kind of some room in there. Mold will build up in there and it'll be very happy because, you know, it's dark and wet. And then your doll will be, you'd have to throw it away if it got enough mold in it. So you can wipe the outside, but make sure you dry it completely. Don't get it wet on the inside. As for breaking, they're not very likely to break. They're very pliant. And again, if you break something, it's very easy to replace that part as long as you don't mess a limited head up. You're pretty much okay. Now the head cap, this is very frustrating because the head cap is extremely hard to get out of the head. So what I do, and a lot of people probably wouldn't want to do this to their doll because it's not a pretty thing, is I cut out some chunks out of the head cap so that it can fit in and fit out easily. Now this doesn't bother me because this isn't a limited head and I could easily replace it and you're never going to see this. And it just makes your life so much easier. But if you don't want to do that, if you have a limited head or if you just, you know, don't want to do it, then what you do is you take a hairdryer and set it on low setting and hold it a few inches away, I would say probably at least 6 or 7 inches away, and just get the head nice and warm, and you'll find that this is much more pliant when it's warm. And then you can get it off and in, because otherwise it's just really hard to get it on and off, because even now there it goes. Even now it's a little hard, and I like half destroyed this. So, but again, this won't, no one will ever know that you did this, and it makes your life so much easier getting into the eyes, and so I would encourage you to think about doing that, or if all else fails, hairdryer is your friend on the low setting. Low setting. The wig's hard to get on and off of Dollfie Dream. Spot cleaning, again, magic eraser, best friend, but no extra chemicals, normal kind. So, getting a Dollfie Dream, a lot of people comment that, you know, it's just so hard to get one sometimes, and they're quite pricey. Because personally, I've always thought that vinyl, isn't it a cheaper material than resin? I would just assume that it is. I'm not really sure, but that just seems like it would be true. So it kind of rubs you the wrong way to pay, what, $530 to, like, how much was Saber? $1,100? Yeah. Obviously Saber is very beautiful and has the armor, but $1,100? That's very, very, very expensive for a vinyl doll. For a lot of things, really. So what can you do if you want a Dollfie Dream? My first suggestion is think about custom. Because I got this doll, I painted her face. The base body, I got it used for a little under $200. I think in the Volks USA store they run it at about $230. The head was $40. I did her face up, and the rest of the things you see in her, the eyes, the wigs, outfit, they all came from Volks. This will be cheaper for you than buying a full set. And if you're going to buy a full set, I recommend buying a character created by Volks, such as Moe Natsuki, as opposed to, say, Keion, or who's the one that just came out? I can't think of her name. You know, the blonde with the big European dress. She runs a little bit higher. I want to say between $600 and $700, whereas Moe Natsuki costs about $530 for a full set because they don't have to pay licensing fees for the character. So you'll save, you know, a little over $100, I think. Which, if you really love the character, I'm not saying don't do it, but if you like them equally well, get the cheaper one, right? I love Moe. She's my favorite Dollfie Dream. I wish I could get my hands on her. Which reminds me, if you want a Dollfie Dream, you have to buy it when it's released, because on the secondhand market, it'll easily double in price, and you really, really don't want to pay $1,300 for a doll that costs $530 to start with. You just really don't want to do it. So please, if you see one and you can reasonably get it, and you know you're going to want it later, try to get it, because it'll be hard to find and you'll be gouged on the secondhand market. So sometimes you can get lucky, but that would take a lot of luck and a lot of time to look for it. So another suggestion is avoid buying accessories from Volks, because Volks wig for a Dollfie Dream, goodness, it's in like the 40s, some of them close to 50, and you can get wigs for dolls, this size wig, an average quality, or you know, average to good quality, usually about $25. Volks is pricey. Their stuff is definitely high quality, but you're paying for it. You really are. So, the outfits too, they're pretty expensive from Volks. They're not, most of the time they're not too incredibly overpriced, but sometimes they are. But mostly the wig I would get somewhere else, unless you really like the one from Volks, because I really like this one. And sometimes their shoes are pretty pricey too, because you can get sometimes you can get shoes for like $15, $20 elsewhere, and they'll cost like $50 at Volks. It depends on the pair and where you find the other ones. But again, if you like something, get it. I mean, I'm not telling you, you know, definitely do this or that. It's just a suggestion. Again, making them yourself is cheaper, and it looks exactly the way you want to. Or you can send the head to a customizer, and you can find them through Den of Angels in the customization section. And then it'll look like, you know, it won't look like anyone else's, which is great, I think. So, another thing is that when you buy the parts from Volks USA and, you know, make your own doll, it'll take, like, if it's in stock in Volks, it'll arrive in like 4 days. But if you buy a limited, it can take months, literally 3 to, I think I've heard people complain of up to like 6 months before. It depends. Sometimes they get out a lot faster. But this, 4 days. You can't beat 4 days in Doll World. So where do you buy stuff for them? The wigs you can get literally pretty much anywhere, but you want size 8 to 9. 8-9 wig. But clothing is a little harder. They're slim SDs. So you can buy clothes for them at Lutz for Delf girls, and I believe senior Delf girls will work too. Soul Doll, if it fits the Soul Doll double, it should fit her. Atelier Muse, I'm not sure how to say that word. Their clothing for their larger dolls will fit. And you can buy stuff from Nine Style as long as the model in the picture is from Lutz. You want to make sure that it can fit a Delf, because if you buy it to fit a standard Volks doll, it'll be a little big. And mostly standard SD size stuff will, technically it'll fit on them, but a lot of it will be really, wide and just not look right. So you definitely want to stick with the slimmer SD companies when you buy for them. Now the problem is that if you have a doll that has the large bust or the dynamite body, it's going to be harder for you because you have to find something that accommodates their massive chests. Will be more appropriate, and just say chest. You want to, now you have a really hard time finding something sometimes, especially the dynamite body has like huge chest, itty bitty tiny, even smaller than their waist, and then huge hips again. It's a mess. You have to have you'll have a lot fewer options for large chest, and especially for dynamite body. So you might want to consider that. If it doesn't really matter to you if it has medium or large bust, I would recommend the medium bust just for convenience of buying them stuff. Unfortunately, I don't know much about buying for mini Dollfie Dreams because I'd never had one. So I don't really know what to tell you there. Okay, well, that is Dollfie Dream. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you next week. I don't know what I'm talking about yet, but it'll be good. So, thank you. Goodbye.